What is going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. Press subscribe right there on the button right there. You can see subscribe to my channel at Barb Chair Scott. All the links in the description box to all of my socials, everything involving Barber's Chair Network, Patreon, the podcast platforms, all of that, man. I am here right now with Dante. If you watch I'm Not Gonna Hold You, this dude right here is not new to you. You can follow him at October Zonte. And today, man, we're doing a special video for the channel. We had this sparked from a debate in the group chat like a week ago. We were talking about all the trades that the Bulls made over the deadline and pretty much getting rid of every ounce of talent that they have in that locker room, a very small amount of talent they have in that locker room. And, trying to actually pick a direction. And this time they're picking to rebuild. And, I'm not keen on either one of these teams. I just want to get that out the way now. I don't watch either one of them. I have been on a boycott from both of these teams since the year 2022. But I wanted to debate rebuilds. The White Sox are a year ahead of where they actually have young stars on the team who could potentially be good. You got a Costa Montgomery. You got a Kyle Till. I'm pretty sure I'm missing some others, but they have the number one.
You got some people. Got some people.
Got the number one draft pick in this upcoming MLB draft. And I won't call them fun bad last year because I believe you can't win 100. You can't lose 100 games to be fun bad. I think fun bad qualifies 70. You got to win at least 75 games, in my opinion, to be qualified as fun bad. They were close to fun bad. They're pulling up the fun bad boulevard. They're just not there yet. The Bulls, since they have traded all the guys, which is Nikola Vucevic, Ayo Dosunmu, Kobe White, Dalen Terry wasn't getting no plenty of time anyway, but he got traded, and I'm pretty sure it was somebody else. I can't remember. They are 6 out of 6 as far as losing right now. 6 out of 6 on the bounce. I think this tank that you're going to see over the next 27 games is about to be generational. Now, they do have some competition as it is. Obviously, Indiana without Tyrese Halliburton has been the worst team in the Eastern Conference. That's not going to get better. Brooklyn is terrible. And the Wizards are terrible as well. Now, we don't know. Anthony Davis says he's not going to play, but then you had the general manager of the Wizards coming out and said, no, Anthony's going to play this year. So we'll see if AD plays or not. I don't really think it matters that much. But if AD does play and if Trae Young does play, I think they'll get out of there. Milwaukee is a couple games better than the Bulls. They're going to pass the Bulls as well. But the Bulls just need to put themselves in there. So basically what we're going to do today, we're going to spend about 30 minutes debating which rebuild is on a more successful path and which one do you have the most faith in. I'm going to give a disclaimer. Both of these niggas are run by Jerry Reinsdorf. Okay, and that's going to be one of the final points we debate on here. But my question to you, because I see this has been a lot of Bulls fans got upset the last week. My personal opinion is I think Chicago sports fans get too attached to mid players, and just my personal opinion. But a lot of Bulls fans upset that the Bulls waited so late to make a decision of this. What's your thoughts on the Bulls making these moves at the deadline?
I'll never say too little too late because this is a team that needed to pick a direction and go there. So, like, to your point, when you were arguing in the group chat, you weren't wrong when you said we finally picked a direction. That's very true. It's just the missteps along the way of that direction. Like, if we were going to tear it down, we should have tore it down when Lonzo first got hurt. Because, like, if you remember, he came back, and I remember we were saying in the group chat you weren't going to get first rounders. Well, no, actually, before he signed his extension, they were offered first rounder for Zoe at the deadline, and they turned it down because they were trying to, stay competitive. And same with Alex Caruso. It was a top 10 pick in the 2024 draft that they turned down. So it's a situation where AK inevitably, like we always say, it's always a little too late. And then when you do make moves, just like last year, when you end up getting Giddey, you sign into an extension. I think Josh Giddey is a good player, but with the moves you made this year, yeah, you're still tanking. But it would more so picking players who were on stacked playoff rosters and then seeing what we could find. So, like, you got an Ivy who can hoop. We know Rob Dillingham can hoop. Rob Dillingham should probably start the rest of the year. Colin Sexton, you should probably release him. I'm a big fan of releasing him and signing the guy from I don't want to mess his name up, but the forward from the Spurs that just got released today because he doesn't fit their plan. Sign a guy like that. but it's still more so buy low, trying to get players that'll keep you semi-competitive. And as much as we say, yeah, they're finally tanking, I don't think they want to tank. That's why you went and got those players. So they still gonna play hard and probably be close to that last play-in pick. But I think a lot of my dislike with what they're doing is it's too late. Not too late, because you might get lucky this draft, because as we've seen the last 5 drafts, the worst team has not got the number 1 pick. So being the worst team does not, give you the number 1 pick. The last 2 drafts, playing teams have got the number 1 pick. So I mean, it's one of those things where it's not a guarantee. So we just need to be semi-bad, which we are, which is where we're going to remain. But you needed to do this a couple years ago, because then you got to think last year's draft, when you have get a better opportunity, if not Cooper Flag, you get a Dylan Harper, you get VJ Edgecombe, you get guys who are out here actually hooping and contributing. You could have had them on the team this year, as opposed to taking Noah, who gets hurt and is still a project that's probably a few years away from actually, contributing to your team. So my thing with the Bulls is just, it's always like when we finally catch on, it's too late. Just like when you got Levine, you got DeMar, and then you got Zoe. It's like, okay, now you finally trying to play modern basketball, get a point guard and get guys that can score. But then you messed that up. So it's like, I feel them. It's about time you pick the direction, but I still don't have much hope that they're going to figure it out. It's still just relying on luck. You got to hope you get a top pick in this draft.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do believe this should have been done after the 21-22 season. Obviously, Zoe got hurt. I remember the 21-22 season was real fun for about 2.5 months. Then the new year came. Zoe got hurt. Zach got hurt. Zach got hurt in the game where the Nets just completely bust their ass and kind of brought them back down to reality. That's when KD was on the Nets, when Kyrie and Harden was on the Nets, which seems like an eons ago at this point. That's probably when they go to the playoffs, got absolutely lambasted by the Milwaukee Bucks. That's probably when it was like, all right, let's start over. But I think the Bulls' biggest issue, and this has been the biggest issue post Derrick Rose, post D Rose trade, is they just didn't want to commit to the bit. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to commit to a rebuild. And like you said, they aren't even saying rebuild in these press conferences, which I think has been driving a lot of Bulls fans up a wall, with AK not really saying it. But I go off actions more than words. The actions tell me that they rebuilt. Now, if you look at the standings of the Eastern Conference, yeah, they can fake be in it for the play-in, but I think the play-in positions are pretty much set. It's just a matter of which order it's going to be. I think when it's all said and done, they're going to finish in the bottom 4. And you really just got to give yourself a chance. And yeah, they're relying on being lucky, but to be honest, that's really how you build teams in the NBA. You got to have a little luck for the most part to get a number 1 pick, or you just got to have a GM that's really great at he's doing, like a Sam Presti or something like that. But unfortunately for Bulls fans, AK is terrible. And I didn't think this is going to be the case, but AK is worse than John Paxson.
Yeah, and I think that's what I tell people all the time, and like people disagree on me with this, but if you look at it, Garpax drafted well. They may not have played well for the Chicago Bulls. They go other places and become all stars.
Garpax's biggest issue was not spending money in free agency.
Yeah, they didn't spend money in free agency,
or not pulling the trigger on big trades. I'm still hot about that Amari Stoudemire trade that was on the table in 09.
Yeah, but that goes back to your initial point of like Chicago. We hold on to these personalities and these, white collar, blue collar, hard, lunch hat. What is it? Hard hat type of dude.
Hard hat, lunch pail.
Yeah, those type of cats. Those are the people we always cling to. Like even like you said with the Bulls, with trading Ayo, trading Kobe, trading guys who, even though I think Ayo is going to be he's going to be a good NBA player. But right now with your timeline, he was probably one of your most valuable assets. And even with that, you got some second rounders, and you lost a second rounder because he was hurt when you traded him. But again, just misstep after misstep. And so at some point you have to hit on the draft, and they haven't really done that. The last 2 drafts, Modest, I think Modest is going to be a player. Noah is still waiting to see. But if you look at every other player they've drafted, they have not been good. Like first round, second round, the guys that were supposed to come over don't come over, or they stay in the G League. So, I mean, that's where I had that lack of faith. And even with the lottery, I think, just to go to a quick tangent, I think the only way to fix the lottery when you have so many teams that are actively tanking before the All-Star break is give everybody 1 lottery ball. Everybody gets one, and that's it.
The appropriate way to fix it.
They'll never do it, but I mean, to everybody's point, when we talk about competitive balance, this don't really work. Like, yeah, OKC built their team through the draft, but it's not a lot of other teams that are actually actively doing it. The teams that are winning championships are going to get superstars. It's just the way the game goes. So I think, in terms of making a lottery a moot point, everybody is making a legit lottery. Everybody gets
I
one
mean, I
ping pong
think
ball, and whatever happens, happens.
no matter the sport, the team with the most talent wins more times than not. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's really what it's come down to. With the issue with the Bulls has been post Jordan, which I really feel if you're not at least our age, you don't remember nothing from the Jordan era. Like I remember like the last 2 years pretty vividly.
Yeah, I tell people all the time. The only reason I remember the third championship is because my dad had it on VHS and he didn't have cable, so I would watch it all the time. That's the only reason I remember that series. But like you said, we remember the last three championships, but even then, that's before we had that real sports knowledge. We were
like
just
I didn't
cheering
have knowledge of what was going on.
Yeah.
I was just cheering for
the
my
Bulls.
basketball team. Right. The first ever, like my mom always tells me that I started watching sports when I was like 2 years old with my grandfather. Obviously, I don't remember that, but my first sports game of any sport I remember watching was Game 6 of the 1996 NBA Finals. So at least I remember something. There's some Bulls fans, and that's why I remember when Derrick Rose jersey retirement showed me that so many people put them D Rose teams on such a high pedestal that I don't. Yeah. I personally do not, and that's because we were of drinking age when those teams were going on. In fact, me and Derrick Rose have mutual friends. Okay, so when I was watching that, my biggest takeaway from the D Rose era, which was ended by two things: his injuries, him and Joe Kim's injuries, and the fact that the front office didn't do enough to support him. So that's why I look at that run as a bittersweet type of moment, unlike a lot of younger Bulls fans.
When we didn't get Melo, it was over. Like that was really it. Like we didn't add Carmelo, I knew like we didn't have a chance, even if he came back at 100%, because now. And we all love D Rose, but people have revisionist history.
And we all know the reason why Melo didn't come here, and it has nothing to do with basketball.
We're gonna stick to sports. We're gonna stick to sports. But it's one of those things where we're always gonna hold D Rose up here. So it's always gonna be the most grace given and things like that. But that organization just didn't do enough to support him. Nope. So like that was just a moot point, but that's what's been the Chicago Bulls MO. Why is it a drone outside my window? What the fuck?
That's hilarious because you live in America.
That's crazy, yeah. But no, that's actually weird. But no, it's just strange that they haven't been able to do that, and it makes you wonder why. What is the why? And it comes back to teams want to win their way, but at the same time, it gets to a point where it's like, all right, this isn't working. But when you're just
here's the thing, as we move this into the White Sox, I think the thing that's infuriating for me the most, and why I told people, like, yes, I'm still a Bulls fan, I'm still a White Sox fan. I will be a fan of both of those teams to the day I die. I just don't actively root for them, and it's not the losing. I can deal with losing. I am a Chicago Bears fan. Do not let this last season make me forget where we came from. I am used to losing. I can lose if there's a plan. It doesn't feel like there was a plan. Now, I do feel the White Sox have a plan now. Whether they executed the right way is a big question mark for me. Now, let's go to last year's White Sox. Now, I know you and Mikey, y'all watched a lot of it. I didn't watch any. Like I said, I'm boycotting both teams. Now, the White Sox went 60 and 102, and that's after setting the MLB record for most losses in the season. Do you think the White Sox made any legitimate process or Getz himself as a GM? Because my biggest issue with Getz is you're making the GM who couldn't develop the dudes from the last rebuild, which was his main job title, and now you're having him run the whole thing. That was my biggest issue. What do you think about Getz and the White Sox in the year one of the rebuild?
I think now when we talk about Getz, you have to ask how many moves were Chris Getz moves, or how many moves weren't made because of someone above him saying we can't do this, that, and third. So I mean, I've shot him bail in that regard. And in terms of the trades he's made some good moves, and he's gotten us some good pieces back. When you look at the guys that are already on the current roster, like you said, Kyle Teal, he did his thing last year. He was really good. Let me see. I'm trying to scroll through. Edgar Credo, he did his thing. You had a lot of guys that showed you the potential. Chase Meredith, Colson Montgomery, who gave you, showed you a lot of power from the left hand side, which is something we haven't had in a while. You add a Morikawa, which I think is actually insane that they spelled his name wrong on his locker. G. We'll get into that in a second. But you add him, that this offseason, what you're talking about last year. Let me go back to that. But even Miguel Vargas, you have guys on this roster that have shown you potential to be pieces for right now, or pieces that you could potentially move to get other guys. And so I think with the White Sox, the fact that last season you saw a product on the field that was better than last year, which, like you said, the bar was in hell, but it was better than last year. And now you get to a point where it's like, okay, we have something to build on. And then you get the number one pick where you expect a, generational shortstop to be available. And and he's someone who, if he falls off, there's another guy down who plays in Alabama. This black kid, I forgot his name, it's slipping my mind right now, but he's another player who's an elite shortstop talent. You have the guys you've put in your farm system. Don't forget about Billy Carson, who's also a shortstop. Caleb Balmer, who's a shortstop / third baseman. But you're finally putting athletes in the system.
Damn shortstops.
Because you got to think, you want to get people whose athleticism will translate to other positions. Half of them gonna play outfield, but it's one of those things where, in high school, especially because we've been drafting guys out of high school, traditionally the best athletes gonna play catcher, shortstop, center field, like those three. So we've been getting a lot of shortstop lately, and that's why. But it's a good thing. And don't forget about Braden Montgomery, guy we got over from Boston. We did it again, traded them a left-handed ace. We've seen the success of Garrett Crochet, and
we saw the last one they traded before that win the World Series.
Chris Hill, yeah, he's down here in Atlanta doing this thing. But but you got another a heavy set of prospects. So I think with Chris Getz, I understand everything that went wrong with the last set of prospects, but he's been given the chance to be at the helm this time. It's not Kenny, it's not Rick. So I've given him a clean slate, and so far through year one, I've liked everything I've seen so far.
Yeah, I'm gonna take your look on that because I didn't watch last year, and I have no plans of watching this year as well. Everybody asks me what's gonna take me to watch. I'm gonna tell you what take me to watch. For the White Sox, it's gonna take the eventual ownership switching hands from Reinsdorf to Ishba. Now, let's be very clear. I'm not that high on Ishba because I have eyes and I watch the Phoenix Suns. But
that's his brother, though.
And he still got part of it. He still
no. But his brother does that. He's gonna run the White Sox. But I got you.
Okay, well, we'll see. We will see. But I also feel Jerry's not gonna give that up until he absolutely has to. And evil people live a long time. I'm just gonna leave it at that there.
But I think with that, the fact that the timeline has been set, it's gonna
at least there's a door. They're never selling the Bulls.
No, I'm not. Yeah, they're not selling the Bulls. But no, I think this is gonna light a fire on the Jerry Reinsdorf, and I'm gonna save all my ammo for the last topic. Okay. But I hear what you're saying, and I feel like much like with the Bulls, with any team in Chicago, much like with the Bears, until they actually show us something different, we're always going to be skeptical. We're going to have our reasons, and we have our evidence as to why this is not going to work.
Ryan Poles, I'm not done with you. I don't care if we had a great season last year. You have a lot to prove this year.
Yeah, but the Bears, I think the Bears are on a great track. But
I am too.
With a lot of the teams, it's gonna be that wait and see mentality because of what we've seen. So I don't fault you in that, but I do think that a tide is turning with the White Sox especially.
I truly believe Brian Poles knows about my content because every time I see him in the lunchroom, he never says anything to me. He looks at me and keeps eating the sandwich.
I mean,
and I know my voice is heard in that locker room because Eddie Jackson told me he watched my stuff before, so I know people know about my shit.
And I respect it though, but I mean that's a good thing, But also, and again, I guess there's more bullets for the final topic, but
yes, exactly. We're gonna get to that. Let's go to whose rebuild do we trust more and why? Okay, so here's the thing between the two.
Mm-hmm.
I slightly trust the Bulls more than the White Sox, and here is why. It has nothing to do with the general manager. It has nothing to do with the owner. It's the fact that you can get lucky with draft lotteries. That's the only reason. I do believe on paper right now, the White Sox have way more talent than the Bulls. I don't even think that's a discussion right now. And I think once this draft happens and they add that generational shortstop, what's his name again? His name is too long for me to.
Rock Chomsky. He
Rock
belongs on the south
Chomsky.
side. He
Yeah,
belongs on the south side.
that's a real blue collar Bridgeview white name right there. And so him when he get there, the White Sox have far more talent. But the NBA is a superstar driven league, and I think just the chance of them drafting one to me is slightly higher. Now the issue between both teams, right? Let's just say the Bulls do get lucky and they do draft a great player in the draft, which maybe they get lucky this year because the next two drafts ain't that much talent in like
Real
this
quick, my
year's
bad. I messed my boy man. It hold on. Rock Chalowski. Even
Rock
better.
Chalowski.
Even better, baby. Let's get it.
That sounds like somebody who takes shots of Malort.
And it's funny. It's funny that's his last name because they say he's the best shortstop prospect since Troy Tulowitzki. So,
interesting. So we will see. So, I think just that much. They have that much. Now, here's the thing with the White Sox. I think the White Sox have some good young talent, and I think that so far they've shown decent progress. The thing about baseball is even the most talented prospects take a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like, very rarely do you have your Ken Griffey Jr.'s or your, let's just a Bryce Harper's or things like that. Shohei Ohtani's who just come out the gate, just on fire. Or, even with the Cubs. The funny thing about the Cubs rebuild was you had the Anthony Rizzos, the Chris Bryants, the Javi Baez. None of those dudes are really, Javi kind of reinvented himself last year. But outside of that, them dudes, I damn near forget Chris Bryant in the league.
Chris Bryant has hit 17. He's hit 17 home runs in 4 years.
That is insanity. This dude was an MVP. It's crazy. So like the talent trajectory in MLB. First of all, I think baseball is the hardest sport to play on earth. This is a sport where if you hit the ball 30% of the time, you're a Hall of Famer. Like that just tells you everything right there. So I think I slightly trust the Bulls just because the luck factor, but I think the White Sox have more talent. My question is when the talent gets of age and they have proven that they are ready to be in pennant chases every year, will the front office put the money up to spend on getting vets and superstars? That is my question that I have. Now, I know you're going to pick the White Sox vision, so tell me why do you trust the White Sox vision more than the Bulls?
It's talent that's already there. Simple as that. I'm done waiting on luck. We waited on luck with the Bulls for several years. They got the 7th pick 3 years in a row. So the whole luck thing with them, the odds of it actually happening, I don't hold my breath on that. So in terms of which rebuild do I trust, I got to go with the White Sox with the talent you have, the potential you have, and then again, the ground has been laid for the turnover of power. So when you get that influx of cash, Ishby is going to spend. He's already told you he's going to spend. He's doing interviews with the Athletic, letting you know what his intentions are. He's mentioned the new stadium. He's mentioned not moving the team. Like, it's those things that, in terms of just the foundation of what you need, if I have to go off what I already have on paper plus what I know is coming, or I have to go off hoping off luck and the little bit I have on paper right now, I'm gonna go with the White Sox. I think in baseball, while I agree, building a team is not easy, but the first batch of prospects really, and when you look at it, Dylan Cease has been a contributor to playoff teams on another team. Eloy just fell apart. Moncada, it was really Moncada and Luis Robert, it was more so a drive issue, because now you have
dominoes and too many
Twinkies. He was eating Twinkies.
Yeah.
Twinkies and buying cars. But now you hear in New York they're saying Luis Robert is going to be fine because he has a superstar next to him to hold him accountable. Things that they just didn't have in Chicago. Yeah. But that goes back to who's going to spin. But
this is the Mets. The Mets don't do things right either.
Yeah, I'm always go with the talent, bro. And I think the White Sox have some really good talent. Colson Montgomery, I know they have a book on him now. We're gonna pitch him. He's not a high average guy, but if he gives you 40 bombs at short, and Murakami gives you 40 bombs at first, like I said, you got prospects coming. Brady Montgomery will be there in the outfield eventually. I know our outfield looks pretty light right now, but Brady Montgomery will get there. Like I said, Teal and Cuerdo, platooning between catcher and DH. So offense, I don't think will be a problem for this team. The pitching, that's where we're gonna see what happens. Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks is a very interesting guy. Jordan Hicks, we've seen him hit 103. So the arm is not an issue. It's his control. It's his control. If he can get that under control, I think you could that back end of that bullpen is going to be really strong. So when you have a strong bullpen and you can score runs, that gives you an opportunity to win some games and really shut some people down. So I think this team, even this year, like I wouldn't be surprised if they won 60 last year. Asking for a double digit increase again is a lot, but actually I wouldn't be surprised if they won 70 games. Like the over under, I think right now is 68 in Vegas. If they won 70 games, I wouldn't be shocked.
I mean, if they win 70 games, that's an improvement. That's 10-game improvement. I think, like you said, the key is going to be they're going to be pitching Coach Montgomery differently this year. They've got film on them. They're going to know how to do it. I think pitching is a big issue. If I look back to the problems with the last rebuild, the biggest issue was all the talent that we need to rely on just weren't great. Like at the best you had was Tim Anderson and Jose Abreu. Jose Abreu was great, but Jose's biggest issue, I think he came into the Major League Baseball too late. And he was old when he came in. You know what I'm saying? So by the time they actually made the playoffs, which was in his 5th season, 6th season actually, he came in 2014. It was just like, okay, we know we only got like a couple more years for him.
Because he was like 30 when he got here, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was like 30, 28, 30, something like that when he got here. And by that time, you had pretty much, used everything that he had left in the bottle. Tim Anderson is one of the most interesting case studies. I've never seen somebody who was, batting champion. Was it once or twice? I think it was twice. It was twice. 2-time batting champion. Just fall off the face of the earth to the point he's not even in the league now. Usually athletes, they participate in infidelity and they get better. He's the only athlete to get worse.
But I take it a step further. It was a combination of things. Obviously, the confidence issue when you get, rocked on the field in front of people. But the game has changed so much.
How do I forget that he did get rocked?
The game has changed so much in terms of like being a contact hitter. Once his power didn't continue to develop, because remember, he had a point where Tim didn't hit a home run for like 2-3 seasons. Like he had completely just lost it. And like when you're not lifting the ball, all that slap hitter shit. Look at Luis Arias, the second baseman.
Yeah.
He just got signed, bro. Wasn't nobody lining up to sign him. Like they don't care if you hit 320 anymore.
They don't care about contact baseball.
Because you got to think, you got so many people that throw high 90s, 100 miles an hour. You got relievers coming in throwing 100 miles an hour. All that slap hitting, they don't value it as much as they used to back in the day. So when he couldn't even do that anymore, pitchers figured out how to pitch to him. The power never came back. It was just it was nothing. And then the defense was always a work in progress. But when you're a work in progress defensively and you can't hit, it's like, nah, we can just get somebody else for that. Like it was crazy. That whole, like you said, that whole first rebuild between guys going to be solid other places or people who just completely fell off it was crazy. Even look at Luis Giolito. Giolito isn't what he was for. He hasn't been good. He hasn't been serviceable in like 2 seasons.
I mean, Gio wasn't that good with us. He had that pandemic year, and he was good. One day he looked like a Cy Young. Next day he gave up 6 runs.
I tell people all this, bro. That pandemic was like the weirdest world reset where like things that happened should not have happened. It's kind of like
pandemic season. If you remember the last 15 games of that season, if this is a full 162, they were not winning the division that year.
No.
They made the playoffs by the skin of their teeth.
If it's one thing the AL Central shows you, they make the playoffs by beating up on each other. This is not a good division. Like it is not. It's not. Whenever they actually have to play people, no.
And also, this division is going to go down to the last week, which we saw last year with Detroit. You know what I'm saying? So, moving on to our final topic, man. The question here remains: does any of this matter because Jerry Reinsdorf is still on? Now, I know you got a lot to say about this, so I'm going to give the floor to you.
Yes. I'm a firm believer, like you said, Similar to how you said Ryan Poles has heard certain things you said. Jerry Reinsdorf is very well aware of how the city has been talking about him over the last few years.
Very aware. Yeah.
He's very aware of that, and I think with the timeline being laid in place, it's like why not go out with a bang? I think it's one of those situations where he does love baseball. That's one thing you can never say about Mr. Reinsdorf is that he doesn't love baseball. He may not spend money like every other owner, but loving the game of baseball, he absolutely loves baseball. That's his number one. He said that thousands of times. So with you already setting the track to get rid of your jewel in the White Sox, go out with a bang. I think these prospects are going to be developed the right way. You've seen the amount of money they've put into the Arizona, the camp they have in Arizona. Their pitching camp, and their pitching lab, hitting lab. That's where they sent Colson Montgomery to rebuild his swing before he came to the majors, and we saw the results. I think this is going to be a situation where it's like, you know what, I know I don't have much time left with this particular entity that I own. Let's have some fun with it. Now, am I sitting here saying that Jerry Reinsdorf is going to go out and sign somebody to a $400 million contract? No. But would I be shocked if he did a couple of these short $30-40 million deals to get a couple guys just so once these prospects show you who they are?
Who you going to get for that loan? The issue with the White Sox is who's our highest signer?
Right now, it's Benintendi, $79 million.
Andrew Benintendi.
But no, here's my thing.
I was gonna say you are a baseball franchise in the third biggest market. I know it's the White Sox, but contrary to popular belief, the White Sox have a lot of fans. Okay,
they do around the country.
75 million in 2026. That's unexcusable. It's inexcusable.
No, you're right. You're not wrong. But I also I'm telling you. You have guys, when you have guys who want to get, a short deal, they'll take, the high average salary. They'll take their 40 million, 45 million, 30 million, depending on who it is. So, I mean, it's all about timing. But again, with the prospects you have, I've always said that, yes, Jerry would much rather be the Tampa Bay Rays than the New York Yankees.
Which is nuts to me because the Tampa Bay Rays, 0 World Series. The New York Yankees, 27.
Yeah, he much rather just win with his prospects, be competitive, fill the ballpark up. But I do believe that he wants to go out with a bang. So I think when we say, does it matter? Does any of this matter? Because Jerry Reinsdorf, no, I think it absolutely matters. Because even with the Bulls, you got to think he's investing into a $7 billion project around the United Center. Like that's a generational play. You don't want to invest $7 billion, and the crown jewel of your investment is a garbage basketball team.
He's investing with another team that is wasting a generational talent in the Chicago Blackhawks. Yeah. The Chicago Blackhawks are the Lamborghini in the hood meme. That's who they are.
D Rose just hopped down with the investment group as well, so he'll be investing in that.
D Rose is an unofficial representative of the Bulls. I'm mad that I know how the inner workings of the sports entertainment industry goes because I was like, he around a lot. He be doing Jerry had like an investment event. D Rose was speaking. I was like, yeah, I know what's going on. And this thing about Jerry Reinsdorf is crazy. Fans hate him, but former players love Jerry.
No, because a lot of them, Jerry, what D Rose is doing, Luau Dang did it. They're doing the Magic Johnson, where it's like, no, my owner is dope at real estate. Hey, let me holler at you real quick. How we do this?
Michael Jordan had a lot to say about Jerry Cross. He ain't never said nothing bad about Jerry Reinsdorf. He gambles with Jerry Reinsdorf. I think their houses in Florida are like 2 houses down from each other.
Yeah, so no, Reinsdorf, the fans give him hell because of the way he runs the teams. Yes. But I think also with fans, and this is going to sound crazy from me, but with fans, we don't have the real business perspective about sports.
I agree 100%.
We're in love. Like, prime example, if Jerry Reinsdorf sits back at the end of the day, I have 2 assets worth over $3 billion a piece. I've won 6 championships in one. I've won a World Series in another. I've won in life. Like, I hear you when you say you want me to spend all this money every year, but why would I do that? But I do think Jerry's gonna go out with a bang. I stand by that.
I agree with that. Believe that to an extent. And here's the extent of that. Because you make more money when you win. Do you have to spend more? Yes. But you make more money when you win. And that's, to me, what's infuriating. The White Sox I'm upset about, but the Bulls make me bloodshot red angry. And that's because In the hierarchy of the MLB, I know White Sox fans don't want to hear it, but in the hierarchy of MLB, the White Sox don't matter that much. In the hierarchy of the NBA, this is a prize, iconic franchise. And as somebody who lived out of Chicago for a decade and saw how the Staples Center will be filled with Bulls fans, no matter if it's a Laker game or a Clipper game, and they just don't take advantage of that. I'm not saying they even got to win a championship, but the fact that they're not in the picture annoys me to a way that I can't describe. So when we get to the question of who does it matter, I would say to an extent, no, because I think that even if both teams, right, amass, if that's the right word, the enough talent to where they're at least competing in the playoffs, I don't believe that the ownership is currently sitting is going to allow either team to fully make that leap into championship contention. That's my biggest issue with both.
Yeah, I mean, and I can hear that, but I truly believe that, like, at this point, it's like, why not? And especially with the Bulls, like you said, if you do get lucky and get that number one pick, why not go get some help for them? You feel me? Why not? Are you going to sit here and just say, okay, whoever we get, and then match us and we tank again? Like, you're gonna remember next year the Bulls payroll is basically empty next year.
It's basically empty, and you're also in an NBA where you don't need a big three to win a championship anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the way the salary cap is set up, you can't have one. Like the aprons.
Yeah, right.
CJ McCollum really broke the NBA when he agreed when they did that.
Yeah,
it's insane. Yeah, but no, I think, like I said, at the end of the day, when you talk about not only, you may sell off, you're going to sell off the White Sox eventually, but you're still leaving your crown jewel to your kids. And this is the first year the Bulls are not in the top 10 in merchandise.
Yep.
Remember, they fell out of the top 10 in attendance, and that's when they fired Garpax. They are not in the top 10 in merchandise. So when you start to see that effect falling, and remember, 96 was a long time ago.
96 is 30 years ago.
Yeah, 90. So which means 98 was 28. So I mean,
which you can't tell if you go to 300 section United Center, because Dennis Rodman's Haynes ad is still up there.
Yeah, the legacy is running on fumes, bro. You can only sell legacy for so long.
There are a generation of Bulls fans who don't know anything about the dynasty years outside of the Last Dance.
Yeah.
A generation who don't know nothing. If you were born in 1998, like let's just say you were born in November of 1998, you don't remember anything because you weren't born. Only us old dudes remember some of it. So, but yeah, we're gonna wrap up. We're on the 36-minute mark. But Dante, glad to have you on. This is dropping on a Friday, so I'm not gonna hold you. We'll be live later on today. We got a lot of Bear stuff to discuss. Me and Mikey had a healthy conversation about Super Bowl or bust. And Ryan Poles, I am not playing with you. Okay, we're gonna be talking about that on the show today. We got a full show, so check that out. You can follow Dante at October Zonte. When are we getting a new episode of
I forgot the name of it. High and Outside.
Yeah, High and
Outside.
I'm drunk. No, I was drunk, but I've been drinking.
Yeah, no, you good. I was legit just talking to today, just getting everybody's schedule. We'll definitely get one going before the World Baseball Classic. The World Baseball Classic is going to be in March. I'm actually really excited this year, bro. I think the fact that I can almost guarantee you that baseball is going to shut down December 31st. December 31st, 2026 there will be a lockout.
It's going to be a long lockout.
This is going to be a great season of baseball, bro. Don't get it twisted. Baseball's in a great space. This is all about money. But baseball is in a great space. It's going to be a great year, and we're going to have a lot of content this year.
Last year was good. World Series was incredible. Good season, a lot of stars, man. Yeah. So
I gotta figure out why this drone was flying out my damn crib.
Yeah, you do got to figure that out. You do that in Atlanta of all cities. But anyway, we up out of here. Press subscribe, like, leave a comment, all that good stuff, man. I'm trying to get road to 500 subscribers. I'm at 447 right now. We got a lot of off-season content coming on the page. We up out of here, man. Holla.